What is the single biggest dick move in all of history? The original white elephant gifting from the King of Siam. This person would give this royal gift to people he found irritating and be entertained by the recipient's failing efforts to upkeep such an animal. Why don't they just give it away, you ask? Back in the day, receiving a gift and giving it away was perceived as an insult. Go figure. And giving away a gift from a neighboring kingdom is, well, that much bigger of an insult. So no dice. Economies apparently have failed in order to upkeep a royal gift like this. Honestly. Dick move, King of Siam. Edit. I'm seeing some comments about giving away the elephant, killing it, or letting it die, so I'm going to clarify something. If you are given a gift, out of respect you take care of that gift, because failing to do so would be taken as an insult from the gifting party. The King of Siam knew this and, for his pleasure, gave his opposing neighbors this annoyance of an animal. An ultimatum. Either fulfill the upkeep of this economy-sucking, worthless elephant, or I come invade your kingdom and slaughter you and your people. Being as powerful as he seemed to be, he probably sent delegations to these provinces to ensure the elephant was still around for years to come. LPT. Keep that elephant alive. For those who don't know, a white elephant is rare and sacred. They were never used for work or war and were just comfortably maintained for their lifetimes at huge expense. And they couldn't tolerate the sun either. So the story goes that there's this people in southern Iraq whose agriculture, economy and way of living were built around them living within the swamps. They were not very fond of Saddam Hussein and his regime and did a protest march towards Baghdad. So meanwhile they moved towards the capital. Saddam took some excavators and drained the whole swamp. Problem solved. This is why I am always kind of wary when I see dictators/autocrats and the likes depicted in the media as dumb or whatnot, because you simply just don't rise to those levels of absolute power without being a sneaky backstabbing bastard. Are they POS garbage? Yes, but they are also way smarter than it looks from the outside, and they know exactly what they are doing, and we should not underestimate them in any way. Wow. So this is how it feels when people actually read your comments and you get to have their intelligent opinion. Thanks you to everyone who responded, and I tried to address every point. I just want to add that I am in no way an expert in this, so it's just my opinion, which could be uninformed. I guess what I was trying to say is I am legit worried about some states, especially the CCP, and now I am officially on one of their lists, LMAO, and it bugs me when I see them taken lightly, or when literally nobody from the international community react when they pull some outrageous speep. I don't think anyone ever thought Saddam was stupid. He was just a cunt. Thomas Midgley invented Freon and putting lead into gasoline. He knew that putting lead into gasoline was a dick move, and he did it anyway for money. He knew because he got lead poisoning himself and still lied about its effects on people. Environmental historians have said that he has had the single largest impact on the Earth's atmosphere of any single organism in the history of the planet. Not to mention that lead levels directly correspond to lower cognitive abilities in the general population, and you can look up the dates to know who would have been affected. This also has to be a story of poetic justice. He had also inverted a system of levers and pulleys to help him move around in bed after he became bedridden, and his own invention strangled him in his sleep. The world. Oh no. Anyway. I always thought the Fed putting Andrew Jackson on the 20 felt like a big FBPU, since he hated the idea of a centralized bank putting your fishing boats to the coast of other countries because you already fished everything in your country's surrounding sea. It's horrible. It's happening all over right now. Chinese boats are sitting on the edge of the protected Galapagos waters catching everything they can, and have been caught multiple times fishing in protected waters. Undefined. They are decimating the Chilean coastline. Imagine that Chileans now have to buy their own fish from China. When the Mexican government rounded up thousands of Yaqui natives, made them walk over 300 kilometers to the coast, put them on boats, and sold them as slaves for about 25 cents. Most ended up on plantations in Veracruz where they were worked to death. Slavery was already illegal in Mexico at the time. When was this? Early 1900s. Before 1965, Indonesian government sent academicians, especially STEM graduates, to study in Eastern Europe. After the supposed communist uprising in September 30, 1965, the government revoked their citizenship and declared them stateless. They risked persecution and possible torture and murder if they insist on returning. These nuclear physicist, master engineer, and PhD graduates take menial jobs, becoming janitors and wait tables to carry on living with virtually no possibility of return to their country. P.S. I'm adding some reading to anyone who are interested. Undefined. Wait. The Indonesian government revoked their citizenship? Why? Because they graduated from Eastern European universities. They are deemed as compromised. The Indonesian government after 65 also actively pursue communist-related elements even to the roots, like poor farmers obtaining grain aid from Communist Party and slaughtering them wholesale. It is estimated that during Indonesian communist purges 500,000 people were killed. That lady who stole the unborn baby out, the other lady. The psycho bitch that pretended to sell baby clothes to lure a pregnant lady in and then cut her baby out and leave her to go to the hospital. All just to cover up the ongoing lie to her family that she was pregnant and just suddenly had a miscarriage. Yet I live a couple streets from where that speep went down. Craziest speep I've ever had the misfortune of reading into. Dynell Lane. Hayrace, a somewhat recent article on it. Right. Unfortunately, this isn't a one-off. The latest one is a long-time friend pulling this speep, and both the pregnant woman and the baby died. This seems to be a particular syndrome in depravity. Brutus pretending to be Caesar's best friend and then literally stabbing him in the back. Caesar. Really? Right in front of my salad. Around the formation of the Persian Empire, Herodotus tells the story how King Astyages, the last king of Media, had a dream that his daughter would give birth to a king who would overthrow him. So he orders his general Harpagus to kill the child at birth. Harpagus doesn't want to kill the baby / spill royal blood. So he gives the child Cyrus to a shepherd to raise. 10 years later, Cyrus is discovered alive. King Astyages fakes being happy that the kid is alive, suggesting he always regretted issuing that order. To celebrate, he plans a feast and tells Harpagus to send his son over to play with Cyrus. During the banquet, King Astyages has the son of Harpagus killed, cooked, and fed to Harpagus. When the act was revealed, it is said that Harpagus did not react other than to gather the pieces of his son and remove them for burial. Harpagus bides his time. Much later, Cyrus is gathering forces against King Astyages. Astyages orders Harpagus, as his primary general, to lead the army against Cyrus. After a 3-day battle, Harpagus took his revenge for the death of his son by turning on the battlefield in favor of Cyrus, resulting in Astyages' defeat and the formation of the Persian Empire. Compulsory undefined. Wow, I feel like you wouldn't want to leave someone as your general whose son you fed to them. What are the chances that the story was written after the king's death to give the general justification for betraying his king? France asking Haiti for a compensation after Haiti overthrew the colonial administration. It took 143 years for Haiti to pay off that debt. Why would Haiti not just tell them to beep off? Because France could have wiped them out. Money or the gun? Well, not really relevant, but when 50Cent bought the first 4 rows of a Ja Rule concert, and Ja had to perform in front of 4 empty rows. LOL. Or when 50 Cent bet Floyd Mayweather to read a page of a Harry Potter book and exposed Floyd's illiteracy to everyone. LOL. Floyd's response was hilarious though. Bet 50 a large sum if 50 could give him a recent photo of 50 hugging Marquise. Those mother peepers evolving to suck mammal blood, and now we got to worry about mosquitoes, leeches, ticks, etc. If you didn't want parasites eating your blood, why did you keep all your nutrients in it? Silly mammals. Just inject your blood flow with rat poison. That'll show those dumb mosquitoes. Russia telling Ukraine to give up their nukes for peaceful independence, only for Russia to take back Crimea a couple decades later. Yup. Now when any rogue state wants nuclear weapons, I understand completely. Pretty much why Pakistan did not end up as Afghanistan over the last 40 years. It allowed it to become a regional power. Also why Iran has been battered hard in terms of policy since they do not have leverage. Ray Kroc stealing McDonald's out from under the brothers and not even paying them royalties. Dude, I watched The Founder on Netflix and it's straight up cruel how he just took everything from the brothers. Divorced his wife and took another guy's wife. And then proceeded to be an asshole while expanding the business and getting filthy rich. It was shocking how little he seemed to care about the consequences of his actions so long as he was making money. Read the real story. There are important differences between the movie and reality. They wanted to paint Kroc in a bad light. Not saying he was a saint. Just saying the real value of McDonald's was the scale. And the brothers tried to franchise/failed and couldn't scale the business. There was no handshake agreement as shown in the movie. That was a total fabrication.